Hello my friends and welcome. Ukraine again cut supplies for the Russian Federation from Crimea. Today two of the bridges were targeted. One over here near to Chongar. By the way, it was hit before. Russia repaired it and it was functional until today. The second bridge that was cut today is over here near to Henichynsk. Probably the Storm Shadow cruise missiles were used for that attack. Let's see the pictures. The Chongar bridge kaboom caused this hole. I don't think that it is serviceable for the heavy vehicles. But again, Russia may try to fix it. The repair jobs from the previous attack took them around 1 month. Here I would say the damages are more dramatic. I do expect that Ukraine may try to attack the same construction again. It means that the Russian critical supply lines are under fire control by Ukrainian army. The other bridge in Henichynsk suffered more. There was the big kaboom, as you can see on the screenshot, and this is the result of that attack. Actually, there were two of the shells that entered the bridge construction, causing it to partially collapse. This bridge was also used by the Russian forces to send reinforcements to the long sand spit near to Crimea. We call it Arbatskaya Strelka, Arbatsky arrow. I don't know how to translate it correctly. The piece of land over here that goes all across the eastern side of Crimean Peninsula. Russia concentrated the air defense systems in that area and also built some of the checkpoints. So now the supplement is totally cut for them to that territory. However, they may use this part, but the land breaks at some point in some areas, so they had to use that bridge over here in Henichynsk, but not any longer. The last month Ukraine targeted the railroad bridge across this lake. Now it is unfunctional, so Russia is totally cut from this area. So let's check out how they may send their reinforcements or supplies to the southern part of Ukraine. First of all, the rail connection for Russia is not possible because the only road was cut over here and the road that leads over here goes to Kherson. There is no any connection to this road that goes to Melitopol or somewhere over here to Berdyansk. It's simply not possible. However, they may use the road transport, and there is the only big road that is left that goes across the Armansk, Kalanchak, and then leads to Oleshki over here. And then it goes eastbound to the Russian group, so they have to deliver their goods close to Oleshki. Or Russia may try to use the secondary roads in this area. You need to zoom in to see them, but those are the very bad paved roads. So it might take a very long time for Russia to deliver supplies and goods and other stuff to the southern part of Ukraine. Clearly, we witnessed the collapse of the Russian supply lines. It is not the 100% disaster for Russia, but it's very close to it. Also now I see why our guys landed on the other shore of the Dnieper River, because here near to Oleshki there is the big road that we should take under control, and this is a very important crossroad, because basically it's the only way for Russia to use more or less good roads for the supplies of this whole region. However, they may still use this road to supply everything. There are some railroads as well, and probably they will change for it, but there is the Vuhledar small town, so why Russia wants to get it under control? Because Ukraine placed their rocket artillery systems nearby that may attack the Russian supply lines in this area, including the railroad. So again, Russia has the problems with the supply lines, and with the railway cut in this area, the only useful thing from the Kerch bridge is to supply the Crimean Peninsula. 2 days ago, Russia also lost the big landing ship that was used to transfer the military goods across the Kerch Channel. Russia still has the big landing ships, but I think they will hesitate to use them as before because they're afraid to lose them. Those are very good news, and as you can see, the geography of the Crimean Peninsula and this region plays in favor of Ukrainian army. That's why I do expect the big problems in supplies for the Russian army, especially in those defense lines they were able to build. They need to constantly send the ammunition to their forces. They need also the army man rotations, and now they have very big issues with that. So in a while those defense lines might become useless if Russia is unable to sustain them, but it might happen not in a nearby future, unfortunately. Many months without supply lines should pass for it to work. But after all, I think it is the successful tactics that Ukrainian forces are performing right now. As for Robotyne, we don't have the military map update. Yesterday I showed you the other one presented by one of the Ukrainian battalions. They say that they've took all of this area and the area over here. So Robotyne is partially encircled. There were 3 of the vectors of attack, one towards Robotyne, the other one to Nova Prokopivka, and the other one to the Russian defense lines. But according to this new update, I don't see it is happening. Probably the deep state military map keeps it secret. About the Russian assault vector that they performed in Lugansk Oblast towards Novaya-Yehorivka, we have the confirmation and photos that our guys went to the Russian positions in this area but were forced to retreat. So far for Ukrainian army it's hard to reach this river once again. So we have it also from the deep state military map resource. There are some armored vehicles of Ukrainian army. There was the battle between Russians and Ukrainians, losses from both of the sides, but our guys had to retreat back to the previous positions. However, our guys were very close reaching 2 of the villages and the very important river. Ukraine has received the Scalp cruise missiles that are installed now on our Sukhoi Su-24 tactical bombers, and as you can see there is some sort of the adapter for this missile. From what I know, this adapter is taken from the Tornado airplanes that were written off, but I'm not sure from what country. As you can see, we have to use those because Su-24 is the Soviet-made airplane. The Ukrainian President Zelensky wrote Slava Ukraini on that first missile. Based on the provided data by the French side, the range of this missile is 290 kilometers. There is also the long-range modification of 560 kilometers. I personally think that Ukrainian army might have obtained the longer range version as well. Why? Because no one is able to check it. I'm sure that Germany will also transfer the Taurus cruise missiles to Ukraine as well. Those are analogs of the Storm Shadow cruise missiles, just a little bit different. Also, the German members of parliament asked Scholz to transfer those goods. So after all, I think it will be done. By the way, during the latest attack, Russia tried to hit our airplanes in one of Ukrainian airfields. They launched a couple of waves of the cruise missiles and also hypersonic Kinzhal rockets, but were unable to target the airfields. The Russian propaganda say that they've targeted the airfield, but today President Vladimir Zelensky visited the place and everything was okay over there. Alright, according to the latest information, there were 2 of the kabooms in Chongar bridge as well. One on the new bridge over here and the one on the old bridge, you may see it also. So both of the bridges in Chongar are unable to transfer the heavy loads. Maybe those would be used for the light vehicles. But speaking about the military supplies, it's basically not possible right now. One of the drones was spotted in Moscow. For sure, this is the Beaver Ukrainian drone. It is well recognizable because it has the stabilizer on the front. Because of the drone, the Vnukovo International Airport was closed for operations almost all the day. And again, clusters aren't used by Ukrainian army. It was a very fast delivery from the United States of America. Those shells covered the vast territory, leaving no chances for our enemy. But if we speak about the deep trenches of the enemy, those shells are not that effective, unfortunately. Speaking about the losses for Russia and Ukraine for 3rd and 4th of August. For those 2 days, Russia lost 28 of the vehicles, Ukraine lost 16. Unfortunately, we have a couple of the Leopard 2 tanks. Leopard 2A4 was completely destroyed and Leopard 2A6 damaged and abandoned. It seems like I saw the video about it. The tank was targeted in the ammunition compartment. Not sure if it was evacuated from the front lines. Ukraine lost 4 of the armored vehicles and 4 of the artillery systems. The air defense system Strela 10 was lost because of the Russian kamikaze drone Lancet attack. The other goes for the supply trucks. As for Russia, they lost 4 of the tanks, many more infantry armored vehicles, also artillery and 2 of the air defense systems Buk. Plus the big loss for Russia is the landing ship that was severely damaged and will be unserviceable for a very long time. So as you can see, Russia still loses quite a lot of the vehicles compared to Ukraine. According to the British intelligence report, Russia lost half of their airborne forces. The general commander of the VDV army, General Colonel Mikhail Teplinsky, said that 8,500 paratroopers were wounded. He didn't comment on how many troops were totally KIA or were too seriously wounded to return return for their duties. However, extrapolating of Teplinsky's figures, we may understand that Russia lost 50% of 30,000 paratroopers they had before the war. So totally with wounds, we expect them to lose around 15,000 soldiers. It is definitely a crazy number, because if we compare it with the Soviet Union war in Afghanistan, for 10 years they lost around 18,000 soldiers totally in the Soviet army, and here we speak only about the paratroopers, and those soldiers are the elite of the Russian army. As for the Russian landing ship, we have the new satellite image. It shows that Russia uses at least a couple of the ships to support the suffering one on the water. As you see, Russia made it to the port, so now for them it's more easy to repair the ship, but it may take even years to perform the proper maintenance. As for the Saudi Arabia summit, we have some sort of the progress. There was no critics for Ukrainian peace plan after all. I think it was the preparation for the bigger ground. There will be the bigger summit that will happen till the end of this year. Many of the countries, including China, were proposing their own ways in finishing this stupid war in Ukraine that Russia started. And finally, after all of the countries agreed that the borders of Ukraine should be recognized by everyone. It means that Ukraine will continue to fight for its freedom, obviously with some international support from our allies. Not all of those countries are supporting Ukraine, especially in the military way, but our main partners and friends do support us. The Russian media and some of the Russian bloggers say that it's the big diplomatic failure of Ukraine, but Russia itself wasn't presented on that meeting. It is already the win for Ukrainian diplomacy. Poland just shut down the oil pipeline Druzhba that goes from Russia to Germany. As you can see, European Union countries still consume the Russian oil. The most interesting part is after they make fuel from that oil, they sell it also to Ukraine, and Ukraine refuels its tanks by the Russian oil, let's say. From today's picture of Vladimir Zelensky and our military command taken in the airfield, we may see that there is the new delivered RST air defense system and the extra launcher track for it. I think that it might be deployed at the same airfield. We have the picture from yesterday. It shows the Russian armored vehicles, engineering equipment and other stuff that they delivered to Crimea. So this was filmed in Crimea before today's bridge attack. So how they might deliver all of that stuff to the south part of Ukraine, I'm out of clue right now, because tanks and other heavy equipment is unable to cross the bridges. Big problem for Russia, isn't it? We have the information that Wagner is planning to open their office in Niger and deploy many of the army personnel. At the same time, there are also the French forces in Niger. The Niger's army gave them 1 week to get out from the country, but I don't think that French forces will leave Niger on their own. On 6th of August, Ukraine marks the day of Ukrainian Air Force. Our guys continue to fight for the free sky, and soon I hope they will have the Western-made jets. My friends, don't forget to press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, there will be some of the links in the video description just below. Special thanks for my Patreon supporters or the sponsors of my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.